Commit from Spurti. I think she has also made some changes. Spurti, would you like to go with the design changes? Whatever you made, depend your design. Okay,
Sir,
just
you
yeah.
mean
Okay, let's
you mean
do a
design change?
re-recording. Just hi class. So today we have our session number 6 for the Java and full stack training. So I'll just do a recap of what we learned yesterday. So we understood the concept of data abstraction, which means that you don't expose your variables or the members of a class directly, because then someone, the user, can misuse it or can pass some invalid input which can make your system unstable. So there came the concept of data abstraction. Then we have learned the concept of inheritance, wherein we had a person class and then we have the gender male female class. So the gender class was inheriting the properties and behaviors from the its parent class, which was the person class. So these were the two main concepts which we understood, and then some minor stuff like the difference between the parameter and argument and constructor parameters, and there was a lot which we discussed. After that, the assignment for the students was to create small projects which shows their capability that they are able to inherit and do polymorphism. So today, continuing on the same, we will today understand the concept, actually practical hands-on implementation of polymorphism. Then we will understand the concept of interface versus abstract class. Then the variable shadowing, how do the shadowing work, and other minor stuff related to object orientation. So right now, if we go in the repository wherein students have submitted the course, we'll just go to the pull request or the code submission request by each one of them. So right now we are looking in the code submitted by Spurti, which has classes, 6 classes. So if you need to see what all classes, you can just come here. It gives you a better view. So she has got a class name as car Java car object. Entry was just not required file. Basically, this can be removed. Then we have vehicle driver, and bike.java. So let's try to go with the name. It is not clear what's the client file or what's the main. So there is some point to be taken. All the students can do that. Whenever you make a program, try to make it easy for the consumer, because the easier your program, better it would be for the consumption. So if I need to run it, probably I think the entry could be the one. Let's see. Yeah, so entry is the one where we are trying to enter. Another feedback was, try to take inputs from user, because that way it makes the program more dynamic. Now I'll run so these are called as hard-coded entries. If I need to create a car object with silver color, I do not have option. So just a best practice to have your this stuff. Either you take it from some.
Sir, my
Sorry.
recent driver class is vehicle driver.
Your recent
I
driver
have.
class vehicle driver. Okay. Now there
Yeah.
is another problem. I mean, not a problem, but a program should have, of course, one entry point. Like in the hotel, if you go, they'll give you one menu, and then inside that you can have sub menus for, okay, vegetarian or non-veg or whatever. So main class probably should be one, and instead of making it, this is good vehicle driver, but you can make it
Then,
as main, like whatever main. So people will run that program. From there, they will do the enter, and from here, this program will call everything else. This is
sir,
good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
actually that was in another package in my local machine, sir. But here I don't know why it shows all in a single, all files in a single package. I've created a new package and I've done the project.
Okay, no problem. We'll go from here and then we'll go to your branch. Then we'll try to figure out what you meant. So we have Spurti folder. Now what I see is everything in here. Okay, so there is a term which is called as refactoring. What it means is you can rearrange the files, remove them, unused files, just delete them, put them in proper folder structure. So yesterday we also learned about the packaging. If you buy a thing from market which is not packaged properly versus if you get a gift, could be very simple, but if it is having nice red ribbon and very pretty to open, it looks nice. So gift might not be expensive, but if it is packaged properly, you like gifting it to people and for yourself also. So packaging is important. We'll organize these files. So Spurti, this would be your next task, that you are going to repackage and refactor it, remove the whatever unused files you seems like, and then you will have one entry point for this entire stuff. And in the entry file, the description would be, so this is a good description which you have given here. I think this is again project generated.
Autism.
Yeah, so you
Yes.
haven't. Well, and I'm sorry, I know there was less time yesterday when we finished our lecture, and it was less time. But now you guys, all of you will have exactly 2 days, right? Next we are meeting. No, we are meeting on Monday night, so you will have at least 1.5 day, so you can refactor this. Now you are taking input from here. So these are not user taken input. Refactor it. If you face problem, let me know. I can run through it. It's just scanf, and there are several other packages by which you can take users input. You have vehicle, inside vehicle, you have protected. So seems like you already know what protected is, right? Would you like to explain what is this access modifier called as protected?
A protected variable can be accessed by only its subclasses and not outside classes. Only its subclasses can access the protected variables or methods.
Okay, so the classes which are in the same hierarchy of the parent class, they can access the protected variable. And what would be the default if you don't give private, public, and protected?
Default.
Default would do what?
Uh, I think in the same package, uh, it works same as a public, but works efficiently in the package.
Yes, exactly. So it works, it has the visibility of the same package. So it publicly means, so finally what would happen, that your program, you will package it as a jar file. So you will compile it, make the class files. Then there are Maven or some other tools or command line. You will convert it into a jar file. Now when jar is exposed, whatever your public methods are there, let's say the public static void main is the compulsory first method from which your consumer will call it and start using it, right? So same way you can have several public methods. Whatever are the public method, a user can always consume that directly. However, whatever are private methods, they are just specific to class, and protected would be in the same hierarchy of that class. And package wise, so what happens in big companies, there will be a project inside which there would be package. They have finance department, and then they have transport department, and then they have some other department. So the package would go, okay, this is the transport department, so whatever are the attributes which you don't want to expose to the public, so that consumer should not, whosoever is downloading your jar file and using, should not screw them up. However, internally the other files or the components in the same package should have the accessibility of that. That's how the default package gets used. So let's look at the bike.java class. And default control constructor, you made it or your IDE made it? So this is not required because this is created by default by the compiler itself. Sometime, I mean, it's not required basically. If we are
But
making zero argument
can
constructor.
can
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
actually, I wanted to take input from the user, sir, but I didn't. But you asked us to take it in a for loop using options like one or zero for one for new input and zero for exiting. But
Hmm.
I didn't understand how to differentiate between two different classes. And I mean, if he gives one, how should I differentiate taking a bike object or a car object? So what did I do is I just created a bike. Empty default constructor and then started using like that setters.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. I mean, this is good, but I'll also let you know how the subflow happens. So first option, let's just pull up. Uh, I'll just duplicate it just a moment. We'll learn that as well. Now let us go to design patterns and take any example. Then we'll go to client. So usually I name it as client. So what we are going to do is once we'll run this program, it will keep on running unless one doesn't come. Inside this, you can read different options. Let's say one for car, two for bike, three for this and that. So this is called as nested. So one while loop is just to terminate the program. Inside it, another while loop with if else can be used. While or for or if else condition can be used to create objects of different types. We can run that and we can always make a distinction on how to do that. Let me just grab this. We just need a util.scanner. So this one was my main. I'll just create another folder. So this is a concept which we are trying to understand. User input concept. Now inside the concept, I will have a main client file. Why I call it as basically client file, because so client is going to call this method. Uh, just a moment. So what I need and what I don't need. So package I need for sure. So I have package, I have imports, then I have client. Okay, this is good. Now we had another object. So sorry, I'm just removing these. Excuse me. Now there is one red. So there is something missing. It is saying one more of this is expected. Okay, now our class is compiling fine. Now first we will try to remove unused stuff. So I am not going to create the objects for the classes inside it, but I am going to let you know the concept of how the user menu and submenu stuff works. So first we will try to run it straightforward and see what's the output. I'm trying to drag it up. Okay. So what is this program saying? This is the client main command prompt with remote control example. Loading the remote with appropriate commands and mapping them in slots. Please press any command between 0 to 10 for operation. Remember 11 is for master off. So it was the command design pattern, something which is describing the user properly what they need to do. So we can always tweak it. Now at this line, it is trying to wait and it is trying to take the option, which, so it was probably, I think it was a remote control program wherein if you need to change channel, you have to say input 5, and 5 is for Z TV or Star TV or whatever. The respective channel will be played. So this program can be inserted in the remote control and can operate your television. In short, and then we had another code, because in remote control there is code for each key which is mapped to one channel, and 11 was the code which will turn off the TV, something like that. So in the same case we will have create a class, create a bike or car or whatever, it would be mapped to some or the other stuff. So we'll say okay, let's go for 2. So we have given the 2 input. Now thanks. Do you want to rerun the program? Press 1 for yes and 0 for other option. So we'll say 1 to enter. So it will give the option again. Now we'll just tweak the grammar a little bit and we'll go to the option. So you have to have a proper welcome message. Welcome to vehicle factory program. This program is going to create us probably a bike or a car or something else. So I'm not wiring. Once you will learn spring or something, there is a concept called as auto wiring, which means whatever. So this is called as wiring, wherein you create the object and instantiate it. And this is the object reference, basically wherever the object, this object lives, this would be the object reference. So we are just creating a menu and then a submenu. So welcome to the vehicle factory. Then we'll say user, we'll say println. Now we have options here. So we'll say press 11 to create a bike object. We can take anything, but let's go with this. Press 12 for car, press 13 for truck. And now we will try to take the input here. We can name this variable as user input. We don't need this. We'll remove the additional code. After this, we will say if this is first option, then do something else if this is another option, else if this is another option. So we say if it is 12, if it is 13, and else So now we have to inform the user. So here you technically you will have car is equal to car, and then there will be constructor. You will pass some arguments. You will again take inputs in a string format. So you can take input like color of the car, model, year, whatever. So in this block you will be doing it, but first thing first, first keep it simple. We will just try and say system.out.println. Here we will create the car inside this block. Sorry, so this one was for bike, so we will make it as for bike. So this is called as the control flow, how the program will flow, in which options and everything like that. This will be car, this will be truck, and if there is nothing comes up or the input is out of range, so we would say input is out of range. Invalid or out of range, whatever. So we'll, for now we'll say out of range, because if he gives first option, second or third, if he hits one, then we are going to continue the program. Until and unless he doesn't hit this one, we are not going to let me just run so it would be easier to understand. So now our menu has started. Menu is very properly and easy, that it says you are welcome and you have all these options. Okay, let me create a car. Oops, I entered up, sorry, here. So it says created car object. Now it says, do you want to rerun the program? So I say yes. Now I want a bike. It says again, do you want to re-enter something? I say yes, I have to re-enter. Now I want a truck. So I know which code the user needs to input to create a truck. So this way, this program is so interactive that it's not just a hard-coded one-time thing that it's dummy monotonous. No. So as long as I want whatever variation I want, I can do it. Now where I am taking 13, after this you can ask more questions to the user. Okay, in car, what color, what this, what that. So you input all them. If they mess up with the input, you can define some default values, and then you can create that object. And once where I am saying car object is created over here, whatever, you have to give them the car details or whatever two string method you guys overwrite, right? So it should have proper description, and you will, so user will get to know, I interfaced this or I used this program, it was easy, it had options. As soon as I clicked something, what has happened, it was communicated properly. So anyone who is your professor or college guy or another student who is using your program, it's easy. He does not have to go inside the code. He might know Java, might not know Java. That he should not have to go inside the code to figure out what is required, how it will. He will write everything over here. Based on that, he will do his inputs. So let's try to press 1 again, and let's try to press some invalid input. So it is saying out of range. Okay, I'm sorry. I will do proper input. It says do, okay, so here I was supposed to press 1. So let me do retest this again. So we say 13. It created something. We say 1. Then I had an invalid input. Then I say I want to repeat. Then I say I'll have another valid input. It created something. It's saying repeat it. I say yes. Then I say this, and then I say 0 to exit. Simple, 0 to exit. So program has gracefully exited this time. I will push it right away. you guys can use this same submenu. In here you can use your wiring options, and you can change the this the main outer for loop which controls the termination interactively. It's not that if you just create one object and program is done. For your testing also it's very easy because you can change options here, and instead of each time you run the program and see, no, from here you can terminate as soon as you want to terminate 0. This one is the outer loop. Inside it, the inner loop which runs, it has a termination condition and it has the submenu options. Let me check that. Let me commit. I can put it directly in master. Sure. Git status, git status. So there are a lot of files. I'm sure I'm going to get some merge conflicts, but I'll handle them. That's not a problem. I do git add. Now I'll do git status again. Okay, everything has been added to the staging area, indexes basically. So everything is added, so this everything will go now. So I have to do a commit, and commit should have a message. So we call it as git commit -m. Message is pushing the interactive menu file. So it made all these deltas internally, this program. Now I might do a git push. Okay, so has it been pushed properly or not? We need to validate it. So we'll now go to cloud, and this has to be somewhere in the cloud. Now we will check the commits. So we got this, pushing the interactive menu file. Now you guys can use that as a place to start. There were some other that day's file also got pushed up with this. Now we will go with the concept of overloading, overriding, and shadowing. So first let's try to cover what is variable shadowing. So anyone would like to speak about that concept? What is variable shadowing? VARABLESHA. So this is a concept of inheritance. Let me keep everything clean, closed everything. We will go with the same vehicle, VEHICLE, vehicle class, which would be the parent, and then we will have couple of more classes called as car and a bike. We have two classes. Now we need to inherit this. So we will say extends vehicle. Same here. There is some problem with this. Let me refactor it. It has to be capital C. So we'll fix it later. Let me open this. Let me make it as capital C here. Okay, leave it. We will delete this first. Now we will create C capital. Okay, this time it's good. We have vehicle. Now, since they are extending, it will have the variables. So there are some variables. So vehicle has number of wheels, and by default, for the stability purpose, four wheel, at least a vehicle needs four wheels. So most of the vehicles designed are on four wheels. They can have six, but they cannot have three usually. It's unstable. Two is super unstable. There are vehicles with the one wheel also. That is, I mean, the only jokers in the circus can drive the with the one wheel vehicle. So we will try to have just a property called as int number of wheels. We will give it as 4 by default. Reason is, so if something doesn't have this, by default it would come up. So car will extend this same thing. Now we'll try to make a client file. Client file will have PSVM, public static void main. So we will understand the concept of polymorphism over here, and then we will also understand two concepts at the same time: polymorphic behavior and variable shadowing. So we have created a vehicle, not a problem. Vehicle has been created. So we can override toString. I know you guys already know overriding, overloading and overriding. So toString method is provided by the framework itself. It's part of the object. As yesterday I was saying that by default every object extends from uh, object class, and object class has toString method defined. So there is called as this and super. So this means whatever class object you are referring to, and super means its parents. So internally framework treats it as like this, and this is valid, purely valid. You can always do it like this. Even if you don't do it, this is implicit. Frameworks does it for you. Because of that, if you go to object, in the object class you will find all these methods. So hash code is one of them. I'll just tell you briefly what hash code is. So in the memory, there are different location in the heap where your object sits basically, and how to reach there is some kind of pointer or some kind of memory address which is called as hash code. So that helps the program to identify the object location. You can think of hash code is a movie. When you go to a theater and in the movie you get a ticket and it says go to A5 seat number. If your friend comes in, he's outside, where do I need to come to reach you? You will say come to A6, your seat is A6. So he will get some code kind of. So you can think of it, you are giving him or her the hash code so that he can track you down, and then you guys can do whatever you want. So program also needs to pass reference to each other. It has its own location. So that's how this hash code stuff comes in here. Everything has an address for identification. Then there is equals method. Equals would compare the object equality. It mainly gets used in the collection framework. So what happens is all objects have to be compared on some sort. It's like if they are equal, or let's say students, how they are compared, like graded or compared. So they'll have some test, and based on the marks they'll say, okay, both guys are doing equally good, they have B grades, so you compare. So their marks or performance or whatever becomes the criteria of equality. In terms of cars, you can say their power, their horsepower or pickup. So the car which has more pickup is better than the other. So in the you can define any equality parameter. Whenever you will do collection framework, we will understand that how you can define. And last example, a simple example, is employees. So in some company they say, okay, the employee who is older seems to be more greater or has more value than the other, so that's how you sort the older employees. In some companies it's not number of years, it's your ranking, something called as, if you are a senior manager or a senior developer or a junior developer, so they will by default they'll sort it that. And then in some companies they'll call it as a salary, that someone who is earning $20 versus someone who is earning $200. So may it be new, may it be junior, but if he's doing critical work of technology, he is getting paid more, then he will come up in the list. So these parameters needs to be defined and overridden over here. Then clone, we might not cover this topic, it's a little bit advanced, but I'll just give you some links by the end of the course of deep cloning and shallow cloning. So it makes it easier to have the replicated copy of the object by itself instead of calling the new constructor and doing everything. That time clone comes up. Two-string method we were just talking about. So we are in object.java class, and this is the two-string method. It will have a return type of the class name. So this is the default implementation. So once we, where were we? Yeah, here. So once we say, okay, super dot toString, that time the default would be, it would add the class name and then it would get the hex code string for the hash code. So the class is at which location is default to the toString, but it does not make any sense. So whatever functionality which is provided by the parent class, if we don't like it, or if we need something else, then we override that same method, and this is called as annotation. So this is again used everywhere, the annotation at the rate, and then you write overload, override, or there are several other annotations. If you use Java frameworks or other languages, modern frameworks, so if you say auto wired, so then it would auto wired. If you use persistence, hibernate, or whatever, then you say entity. So there are different, and in the documentation of the programs, you will find what each annotation actually means and what it does behind the scene. Notify is something which you will learn when you will be learning the multi-threading threading concept. So how Java works, it's multi-threaded and it time shares. So in your program there will be several files, and as you see the music, when it runs there are several instruments which are required to be played in rhythm. Same way, several classes need to be executed, but it relies on the single process. So what they do, they do a time share. Okay, class A, you get 1 second, let's say 0.001 of a second, because processes are very fast. Once you are done, notify me so that I can say car class to work, then I'll say vehicle class or transaction class or database class. So all these class can work in sequence after one another. So there would be some way for the notification. So let's do this, that you three are different threads, or you are three different processes, and I'm your manager. So as soon as you say, okay, you are done with your job, and now the resource is free, and the resource for, if you are a process, you will always run in the processor. So the resource here is a processor. So you will notify me I am done, so I'll say another guy, okay Mohan, now you start. Mohan say, okay, now I am done. I needed three slots. In first slot, I'll finish this, second and third. So once he is done with first slot, I will put him on wait. He will notify me, I am done. I'll say Narendra or Spurti. Now you guys go ahead. Once you are done, notify me again so that I can tell Mohan to restart again. So that is how all the processes get scheduled. So even though there is one processor which is working, but it's so fast that a millionth part of a second is even useful. So you see everything is running even when this mouse pointer I'm moving. So it gets it does not use full power of the CPU. Even then it gets splitted power, and notify, wait, and everything works so fine. Notify all is also in the similar line, and then there is wait, it is also in the similar line. These all concepts gets used in the multi-threading. So once I am getting notified, I'll say someone, hey Spurti, wait, he's doing something, let him finish, after that you have to code, something like that. So there is a thread controller or thread manager or some kind of small module in Java which takes care of the notify, wait, and all these methods. So and then there is something which is called as finalize. So finalize, you can also read more about finalize. It is called by the garbage collector. So these concepts are mainly used when you are going there for interviews sometime. So the basic core funda of this is object, and Java is garbage collected. Garbage collected means when the object is not required, if you have some mechanism to clean the space up, then it is good. Previously what used to happen in, or still in the other programming languages, you create the object and then you don't use it. For example, we are running a program and we created a car object, and car object was printed just once, and then it's lying there. So more and more program users will come up, the objects will get created, but after certain point in time they'll not use. Let's say shopping website. So someone created the object of the cart. Inside the cart he has some objects identified or added over there. Now he went, okay, I don't have to do shopping, and then the object is still lying in the memory heap. So it overloads the server, and then server gets timed out, or server gets slowed down, and then it does not respond fast, and users get frustrated. Oh, it's not responding properly, it's taking too much of time. So in such way, the garbage collection comes up. It sees that what are the programs which were not being used before. Let me clean those programs up. So we understood object class. The now this is just for interview, that go through all the methods of Java object class and read them properly. The description is mentioned there. Whatever you can, just read them, try to understand, and that would give you very good you know impression in front of whatever interviewer, because people will only ask about normal stuff, vehicle, car, whatever, but you will speak about the parent as object, what methods it has, and then you will explain them how do you override, why do you override. You will go to toString equals hash code and some other methods. It would give you extra edge, because now you are talking about the framework level classes, objects, because you understand them. And then you can always give them the customized example which you are making all for yourself. So now we will come here. What we are going to print is the variables. Okay, cool. Let's run the client. We don't have println on v, so nothing will happen. Now something will happen. So we said where's for. You can always you can try to add the class name also. Oops, canonical name. I don't want that. Okay, this is good. We just need one space because it is getting appended. Now this would be good. So the parent class, which is vehicle, it is providing the default behavior. So whenever you try to create a vehicle or so or a car, so you get this. Same thing you can do with the bike. So the default behavior came up here. Now we'll talk about the variable shadowing. So what I'm going to do is in the bike, I will have the variable with the same name. So overloading and yeah, overriding means when you have the exact same behavior which is in the subclass, you called it as overriding. But when you have the exact same variable or you called it as the field or the property or the member, then it is called as variable shadowing. Now what will happen over here is, let us go to client.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, actually, I have a doubt. Yeah, the best way to use variables is to use encapsulation by using private, right? So, if we are using private, then there won't be any chance for overshadowing, right?
Yeah, so overshadowing, so this the concept that you might have to make few things as protected also because
Yeah,
you might use it in the subclasses. Now, in that case, once the variable is protected, and sometime what happens that same variable can be part of the upper classes as well. When the project gets really, really big, so you can have the variables probably with the same names which will coincide. For example, today you created a car class with price, and after few days there is some another class which is interface or class with the same attribute, but later on architect said okay, let's try to have it in the same hierarchy. So now you will try to extend your car from some other class, but car has that same variable, and by chance the upper classes will also have the same variable. Then this fundamental is called as variable shadowing. So which variable would get printed? That's the main question. Which variable,
okay. Yeah, okay, sir.
right? So that way the variable which would get printed is, so we are just trying to figure that out. So we have
Yeah,
here bike class. So in bike we have number of wheels as 2. It extends vehicle. But when we actually run it, we are still getting 4. for the bike class. We are not getting it 2, even though it has 2. So how to get that? So to get just to get that, we can do this thing to the bike, and then we see that now it is going to get the same whatever is in here. If I do it as super, then we are getting as 4. So if I will say this, then it will get 2.
Yeah, got it.
Right, so this is important thing to understand this and super keyword, how and when to use it. When you're even not using the extends or anything, even then this can be used, but that's not a best practice. So this you have to use when you have variable shadowing, and then you want to use specific the variable which might be duplicate or redundant but from your own object and not from above. Same is with the uh, same is with the methods also. So you use this or super. It's subjective. So this is done. Now we will try to learn about polymorphism. What is so Naren, would you please like to explain what polymorphism is in short, whatever idea you have?
Yeah, polymorphism is like, for example, just now you have printed a you have called toString method on by class. So if there is no toString method in by class, it will search for its superclass. Like if its superclass is having that toString, so the by class will get toString from superclass and it will get printed. And if its superclass also doesn't have that toString, then it will look into object class, and if it finds there, from there it will get it. This is called as polymorphism.
Maybe you're like little bit correct, but there is the intention is something different. So we'll correct it. Mohan or Spurti, please tell me what do you feel about polymorphism. So Spurti, go first, then Mohan will speak.
Sir, polymorphism is having different forms. For example, uh, uh, I go with Narendra in the explanation because I feel override using the same method in different classes for different functionalities. We can call it as polymorphism.
Yeah, this is little bit correct, but I'll add something else. So you are good, right, with your explanation. Mohan, what do you feel
Yes.
about polymorphism and how you would implement it?
It's like when one thing we can exhibit more than in one forms. Like, for example, if you take like some, now we have taken some bike, truck, and everything, right? So if we use the same method in all the three things, and but the arguments are different, like so if we have to print like for the CC is different for different truck and car, we have to use this method of overriding concept. Uh, so so only the one method we can do it in different forms like that.
Okay, so all of you are correct basically in some sense, but basically when we talk in terms of polymorphism, it means that the object reference against the object could be different, could be multiple. Now I'll explain you the core concept of this, how it works. So we have all these objects. If you say you're trying to create a car and then you will try to instantiate it with car, it will work, no big deal. But if you will try to create it with bike, would it work? No, that's the problem. So how this thing would start working is you have to work against the parent or the common class, which could be interface, because now we are trying to understand why interfaces is needed and how really polymorphism is achieved. So we have vehicle, but if we try to do it with car, new car, is it going to work? Yes, so it worked. Why? Because car has, so there is something in polymorphism which is called as restriction, like the narrowing and the broadening of the scope. So if you have car which is against vehicle, you can also create bike. Oops, what I did. We were in client. Okay. So I was supposed to do this bike. Now what happens is there is so there could be many forms. So you can say v1, then you would say v2. So vehicle, usually, the example which is taken is you will have a shape interface and then you will have circle and all other as your classes. But let's try to stick with this example and try to understand how polymorphism is working over here. So in the bike we will have a method which is called as wheelie. We will, and this practically you will understand it in next 5 to 10 minutes. So just give me a moment. So let's try to make it a method as wheelie. Yeah, Naren.
No, sir, no, sir.
Okay, string wheelie. So usually what happens is, so there is a stunt wherein you have a bike running just on the rear tire. You cannot do this with car, but you can do this with bike. So bike has a method which is called as wheelie. Now in the car you can have something which is called as skid, which is its stunt, which so on the four wheels it would skid and roll and burn tires. Let us assume that this cannot be happened by bike. So we will say this as skid and turn. And then we have here a method which is called as stunt. Now we come to our client. So we have the original car object. So we see car dot. So we get skid and turn because the object reference is against car. So whatever methods or whatever stuff is available in the car, that would be shown up. This is the car object. Let me cut it for better understanding. And then let's say we also call it as car here. So what do you think? If I'll do car dot, then would I be getting all the methods which the car has? Yes or no? In the car,
No, you won't get.
correct. So now you don't get, you get a stunt. Fine. But when you go with the car, like the C, you will also get the stunt from the parent, and then you will also get the skid and turn. So polymorphism basically comes against the commonality of the uh, mm, object reference. So if you have hierarchy, inside the hierarchy, on the left hand side, whatever variable you have, you can have multiple constructors assigned which follow the same hierarchy. So if there are more than one which can be assigned, then it is called as polymorphism. Otherwise it is kind of monomorphism. Monomorphism, how to speak about that? So you had uh, for example, you take any normal class like a person. So person can be defined against the person, anything else will not work there. But same with the car is going to get against the car only, nothing else would work. But when you have vehicle, inside the vehicle you can put anything. You put vehicle or you put car, look, still it works. You put bike, still it works. So main thing is, so these all objects cannot have any methods defined at all. I can remove it for a while just to explain the concept, then I'll also add it back. Just, but before removing, let me save it or commit it so that we don't lose it. Git commit -m. Okay, now even if we lose this code, I can always roll it back because it's inside here. So when you guys were saying about methods and everything, so even though I don't have any methods, so polymorphism has to take with the object orientation, hierarchy, maybe the abstract class, parent class or interface, but has probably nothing to do with the methods. And this proves it here, that you have one object reference and then you can have more than one different constructors invoking and creating the object which is defined to that. So more than one forms. If you can imagine, if this would have been a shape interface, and then shape can be anything. So if you have circle, you will say new circle. And this might or might not have any methods. For example, we don't have any methods over here. So polymorphism goes with the object reference in inheritance. And that's the second part, that whenever we are trying to run, what methods or what thing would be available, it depends on the object reference. If they are there, it would call. If they are not there, it won't. So at the runtime, it would try to call. So let's take this example. I'll just roll back here. So which method would be called? Now what all of you guys said, that we will turn it in practical implementation. What method would be called would depend on the object reference. So I'll just do that hands-on stuff again. So we have a stunt class here in the vehicle. We can keep these same classes in car and then the bike. Now you will actually learn that how object reference is impacting the invocation of the classes. So if we do car now, let's try to make three: vehicle car, vehicle bike, v car, v bike, and vehicle. So the method in polymorphism, you have these different constructor. So even though you will try to call, let me just update this stunt. So what it is supposed to do is, internally it would called Willy and then it will return. Fine. because this is bike stunt. Internally you just mapped it. So whenever you are calling against bike, which thing should come up? It should be this. Same with the car. So internally it can call this. So how the control flow, sorry, how the control flow would go? It would be, first it would pick the object reference. Based on that it would put the proper stunt. Based on that it would put the proper method, and then it would work. Let's go to client. Just to save time, doing a copy and a paste here. Okay, so this one is the bike stunt. Because so now if we might have not mapped the the bike stunt, it might have called, even though the object is of bike, it might have called the vehicle stunt. So we have the, actually it called the vehicle stunt. So we typed it as vehicle stunt, bike stunt. So let us try to get back again. We are having the bike, and then we are having the common method. Inside this method it is going to get here in this stunt method. So probably okay, this is a over, we have overridden this method. If we call it as super dot stunt, now let's try to run. So this would be called as the parent. If we don't have this at all, then also it would run the parent vehicle stunt. If we have it and then we write it, so based on the object reference it would come up here, and then it would call, as you guys were saying, that it would call the method which are available in the new, basically whatever is here. But the decision would be taken mostly on the what is on the left side, what kind of variable is here. Instead of this, if you will make it as bike, then this same vehicle would always call the method which is there in the bike, and it will never go to the vehicle until and unless it has that. So by default it would call this method, because the object reference which you have, it belongs to this. But if this same thing is with the bike, let's try this. So we have almost same thing here, but we have different implementation and we have different object references. So if we have same method, the method which would be available in here, that would be called basically. That's how. Now we can make, so the vehicle is not itself so you can buy a car or a bike, whatever. So when we talk in terms of shape, and let's say the circle or square or whatever, so shape is something imaginary, but the circle or square, that is something tangible. So shape in itself is nothing, so there has to be concrete class. So same thing we might have to make it as interface. Interface will define few methods. It will not have any implementation. It would just define the behavior, and that behavior is a contract that whosoever implements that interface has to implement those classes. So this would be the refactoring thing for you guys, that whatever code you have made for the vehicle, so you have to make an interface which would be called as the vehicle. Then you will also try to have one variable shadowed. Probably you can shadow number of vehicles or something, just to understand. Let me just write it also. So what we are going to have is, first is implement the interface. Second you are going to do is, third is you have to do polymorphism. So you need to try the common methods, or the whatever, there will be several permutation combination, as you will, we were just trying to run here, right? So you will just try and run that if one method is there, if it is not there, object reference is something different, few methods are available, few are not available. There would be lot of stuff. Just spend about 30 minutes or an hour and try out everything in the polymorphism area. polymorphism, polymorphism, poly. Okay, now this is good. So you are going to implement an interface, you are going to have shadowing, you are going to try polymorphism, and then you are going to have menu, dynamic menu or interactive menu. So in next session, I will try to run each one of your program. I will pull that in here, and then I'll run the menu, and I'll make sure that I'm able to create different vehicles, whatever I want. And then I should be able to see its price, what kind of stunts that kind of vehicle can do, and then some minor details which would be in toString method. And your whatever design you will come up with should demonstrate polymorphism and shadowing, and it should follow strict interface. So in interface you will define some properties, your properties, your behavior. So stunt would be one. So whosoever implements this interface will, so there are two ways, one is abstract class and one is interface. So you have to also go through the theory. In short, I'll explain you the concept. So interface is 100% abstract class. Abstract class is something which gives you partial implementation and partial contracts. So how that would done, we can just roll back. This was this thing. Okay, right. So if you have to make a class abstract, you just have to use the keyword abstract, and then you can have an abstract method. So abstract method could be engine sound. So each subclass of vehicle will have an engine for sure, because it's a vehicle, it's not a cycle. So vehicle would have an engine sound, but of course the engine sound is very different from bike to car, car to truck. So this is a contract that there would be no vehicle which should not have engine, and if engine is there, there should not be any sound. So you will have in your class, whosoever wants to implement it has to provide the sound of the engine. So we will try to make a abstract class. Now when you have abstract class, you don't have body. I am getting one error, and what's the error is I cannot so whenever you are trying to have some class, sorry, a method in a class, it has to has a body. I'll just clear this concept a little bit more. If this is there, then it is good. It does not have any problem. Just return null. Anything can be written. It does not have any problem. But the moment I take away its implementation and I do not define any generic or anything in the interface, it gets starting having the problem. Then I say, okay, I am not returning, I am not implementing how it's implemented, but I am trying to make it abstract. It says cool, that is totally fine. But a normal class, concrete class, cannot have an abstract method. So what we are going to do is we have to make the class abstract as well. So as soon as we do this, it is all fine. Now whosoever extends this class would have some issues. Let's see. Look, now this guy has started having issues. This is right now looking straight, right? As soon as I click it, it will also go red. Look. So why it is going red? Let's try to figure out. It is saying that bike must either be declared abstract or implement abstract method. So let's try to implement the abstract method first over here. So when you're trying to implement it, you must have the same signature. Otherwise it will give you problem. So I'll just do that also. So you are trying to implement this. So name of the method you have same, but the data which you are trying to return is different. You can return null or you can return true. So what it is saying over here, engine sound this, attempting to use incompatible return type. That's a problem. So you have to have the same name of the method and the same return type. That is how the contract is. If your vehicle has 10 subclasses and each one is returning something different, then it would be chaos. Everything is written, so there would be no standard which is getting followed. So because of that reason, the contract is everyone will implement this and say engine sound. So engine sound would be tuk tuk, which is a mild sound. And then for the car we will have boom. And we don't have truck, but we can create a truck real quick. So in one of the lecture, we'll also cover enum, basically why it is used, what's the basic concept and everything. For now, we will just try to implement this method, engine sound. And actually we don't have to, as soon as we extend it with vehicle, it will tell us, and then we don't have to copy paste or anything. We just say okay, implement class, and then it would say this, yes, do it, yes, it comes here. It would have the default thing here, and then truck has very heavy sound, so heavy sound would be oh, oh. So you come up with your own method, use your imagination, and then you can implement this. I'll just put it in the client file, I'll make it run and I'll push it. So if you have to take reference of this, you guys can do it. Yeah, any questions from anybody? We can address those questions.
Yeah, hello sir. Like in one class, would you like to explain like 15 to 20 minutes about arrays and array lists?
So we have a collection thing coming
Oh
up.
yeah.
So in the
Okay.
collection, we will go with the map, we will go with the set, we will go with the array list, and then we'll also go with the there is equal methods, for which I was just trying to give you a foundation how you would compare that, because array list would have sorting, but how would you sort it? You have to give some parameter, and that parameter you need to override the equals method inside the
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yes,
so
yes, right.
everything has to come up, and then you will also have the hands-on assignment for that, the homework, wherein you can practice, and then you will learn more with the practice rather than with reading. So, and then you will push the code. If you have any issues, we will cover that,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah, it's fine.
So we have the truck here, vehicle truck. So I will call the method engine sound. So the proper sound is coming for this proper type. So this is how basically polymorphism works. Which method would be called up and what are the available options you have, that would depend on the you narrow down as you go up in the hierarchy. Going up in the hierarchy means parent class have less methods. As you come to child classes, you add more and more methods. So you are broadening the scope as you are going down in the hierarchy, and as you go up to the parent, you will have less and less methods. So we'll have, and just don't go with vehicle and truck example. You can do some Google or use your own imagination, create your own interface, and create at least 2 or 3 concrete class or the subclasses for that, and then based on that, just do all these 4 stuff inside that, and that would be good. You can create a different folder inside this, so that we don't mix up each day everything, whatever you are making. So the code would be there. I'm just going to push this code right up. So anyone has any questions before we wind this class up for today's session?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, cool. Enjoy your actually, I spoiled your weekend probably, but at this time, it's more important to learn. Once you know you'll get stable job, you're there. Maybe 6 months down the line or a year down the line, then you can have fun on all weekends. But till the time you are going to get there, you have to work really, really hard. Because the harder you work now, the better salary, better life, better prospects you will get later on after some time. So put your maximum effort in learning, and if you have any problem, just get back to me. So we will meet tomorrow by, it's Monday, right? So we'll be meeting from 7:30 to 8:30.
It's fine.
Right?
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. Bye.